All right. Welcome, you guys. Season three, episode four, life change transformation. It's going to be a fantastic episode. I'm really excited for it. As always, I'm joined by Maeve Langford from Cork, Ireland, the life change transformation expert. Really, truthfully, she's a transformational life coach. She's, empowering people to make different changes and grow into a life that they absolutely love. And I really respect and love her for that because she's really shining her light in the world, which is fantastic. Myself, Gary Benoit, out of Calgary, Alberta, retired police officer, author, and a speaker, and just I'm a student of this business, and really, it's kind of like I have a guru with me, and I'm like the mentee, right? I'm being mentored by these episodes, so it's fantastic to be with an expert like Maeve, and then for me to continue to grow and share some of the knowledge and things that I've experienced through my own journey, which is always great. And so, as always, thank you for being here. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate all of you. Today, we're going to talk a bit about seasons. Now, seasons are, of course, we know that's like winter, fall, summer, spring. It rolls through spring, summer, fall, winter. Every year, we experience some type of seasonal change environmentally. But seasons are also like personally, like everybody has different personal seasons, right? If you're, a little bit younger, maybe you're going through university, that season is a whole different season than your early adulthood, right? You finding a relationship and then you have family and that changes. And as you progress in age and get more wise and worldly, things change again, right? So it depends on where you're at in life. So those seasons are always, they're always showing up in our lives and they're continually showing up and rolling through. And if you were to look at everybody that's gone through this human experience, they've all gone through similar seasonal change, not only within the environment, within themselves. So that's part of the reason why I wanted to talk about today is that we just want people to recognize that we're going to experience different things. And sometimes they don't, and they're not always designed to last for a long period of time. Sometimes
Mm.
it's just a season, right? And so I love the fact that seasons are like they're always the same time. It's like everything's always on its own time. It comes at exactly the right time when it comes to fall. And I love that idea that things are sort of rolling through. And as we roll into this season as well, we're in the celebration season, right? It's the Christmas season, right? So it's kind of a good conversation to have at this time of year.
Yeah, yeah. I think one of the things that I love is that, like you said, the season comes in its own time, right? But sometimes it doesn't last that long. And I think one of the things about that is that when we have something good in our lives and like it's so special or it's so like it's just so delicious and you want to hold it forever, but we can't because it has its season and there's something else going to happen. But just to be able to kind of see that it's so much more precious because it's not indefinite, right? That there, like if you imagine a plant, it'll blossom, but it can't stay and blossom forever, right? It's gonna wilt and fade, and then if it's a bulb, it regerminates and it comes back next year. So there's beauty in all of it, I suppose, is what
Hmm.
I'm trying to say. And
Hmm.
sometimes, again, maybe I'm just speaking for myself, right? But sometimes we can kind of hold tight to the good times, and develop maybe what the Buddhists would call attachment to those things. And I think if we can just hold it a bit more lightly, that um it makes it even more enjoyable in a way, the fact that it's transient.
Hmm.
And that doesn't necessarily always make it easy to say goodbye to something good in our lives. But, whether it's a relationship or a job or a home or, an experience of some kind, to trust that just like you say, like spring follows winter and summer follows spring, and to trust that, as I'm going through my seasons, that good stuff comes, right? And of course the bad times, to have that same kind of assurance that it won't stay like this forever, that
Hmm.
light follows dark and morning comes, and spring again comes after winter, and really trusting that it does all have its own season, and
Hmm.
maybe we can hold the tough times a little bit more lightly as well, and just
Hmm.
say, okay, it's tough and it is what it is, but it can't last forever. It just
Hmm.
can't, because
Hmm.
the again, if we just look at the natural world, nothing lasts forever,
Correct.
and we can really trust that.
Yeah. I think, with the seasons and the way we're going to talk about this today a little bit as we go through, but it ties good with our last episode with the faith piece, right? Understanding that
Mm,
things are happening in its own time, and you're going to roll through that whole idea of as you're going into it, it's like you just have just that faith attached to the season, and then the season of maybe it's a whole bunch of abundance and success, and just know that you got to cherish those moments and you continue to grow those moments. But ideally, like what we also know is that there's ebbs and flows. And what I know as well with when it comes to, if I was to equate it into like a seasonal thing, there are moments in time when we're going through and as we grow and expand our awareness, right? As we grow and expand our idea that we're transforming into somebody or we're blossoming into somebody new or a new version of who we are.
hmm
And as we show up in the world, every time we reach a certain plateau or a certain level, there's always new desires, right? And new dreams are born, and new ideas are coming to us, and that's transformation in a nutshell. Is it's just continuous movement,
Yeah.
right? And so much like a tree with leaves, as it grows. Every year it sheds its leaves to regrow again and have new buds the next year and be even bigger, right? And so
Yeah.
much like we are always continuously growing. And I think that there's moments in time in there where we've had some successes, we've seen some amazing things, and we're taking that all in, and we want that to stay. And then we have that new longing, new discontent, that new idea, and then we start taking some action towards that. And oftentimes, what we do is as we expand and we grow there, we hit that moment of temporary defeat, right? We run into a wall. We have something that happens. I think it's really key to know that that's just a season. And that
Mm.
temporary defeat is there to teach you that I think one, it shows up for a couple of reasons. I believe it shows up because it wants to make sure that you're still solid on what you want to do and where you're going. And two, it teaches us how to persevere and how to lean into faith, lean into the path that we're on, knowing that's the right path and just continuing to take those steps, right? So I think there's a couple of lessons in each time you have that temporary defeat, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, I mean, just kind of building on what you're saying there, I think sometimes that things can look like defeat, and they're not, right? Because like if you imagine the trees, well, I'm sure they're similar in Canada at the moment as here. They're pretty bare, right?
Hmm.
So
Very bare.
like if you didn't know, if I don't know, if you came from Mars, right? And you just like you'd be saying, well, this, things don't look like they're growing. It looks like they're dead, right? Or the life in those trees has been defeated in some way. And
Yep.
no, it's like it's all happening, right? Like in the roots and in the germination, it's all happening. The growth is still there. It's just not visible above ground,
Hmm.
right? So I think again for ourselves, that capacity to choose that perspective, to have faith, like you said from our last episode as well, but to be able to see that actually this is a fertile time.
Hmm.
And we talk about seasons and cycles, but like there's kind of that new growth phase, and then the blossoming phase, and then the releasing phase, and then there's that like nothing happening phase until the new growth starts again. And I think, I mean, for me anyway, this year has been a huge learning around how in that nothing happening phase, that it is such fertile ground, and that it's to be welcomed, and it's exciting, and it's kind of, if we skip it, we'll either have to come back to, like we start something but it's not right, or we get so far with it but we haven't built the foundation for it maybe. So I think just that capacity to see it as not, there's nothing wrong. Again, all of life is for me. There's nothing wrong with this apparently dead time, or empty space. what is they used to call it liminal space they talked about in COVID a lot. But I think it's a good thing.
Hmm.
And I didn't used to think that or understand that. But I
Hmm.
think for transformational purposes, we really want to adopt that belief and perspective that this is good.
Hmm.
This is good. It doesn't always feel comfortable, but it's good.
Hmm. I totally agree. Like, when you consider, if you just think about the environmental seasons, right? Wintertime comes and there's that moment of like, it's like dormancy or like quietness
Mm.
or I like to visualize it as like a reorganizing or a regathering of the resources required to ex- go into the spring, right? Where you start to see some results. You start to see that growth
Yeah.
into that blossoming in the summer where you're fully out there and it's just that kind of idea. So that's the same thing I think it's happening inside of us as we go through our seasons. I think it's the idea that,
I agree.
you have that dormancy time or that time when it's a little bit, for us it's colder in the much colder in the winter than it is in the summer. Um, some places in the world don't experience the cold like we experience the cold, but ideally there's still cycle there is still there when it comes to those other places. If you're a tropical place, it's more rainy, right?
Yeah.
Because the rain needs to come to get into the soil for the heat of the summer, essentially, right?
Yeah.
And so and nature's never wrong,
Mm.
right? Nature's never wrong. It's
Yeah.
100% right every year. It doesn't change. It's exactly what it needs does. It does exactly what it has to do every single year.
Yeah.
And if we and I believe, like I say in the last episode, we talked about we're just spiritual beings having this human experience that we are, made in the vision of something greater than us, and we are all kind of all together that energy, and we're expressing ourselves in that way. It's never wrong.
Mm.
God's never wrong, or the universe is never wrong with us, right? And those moments that we're coming to, and those moments that we're rolling through, it's never wrong. And so, if we can just sort of like one, believe in that, have faith in that, and three, understand it's a seasonal change, it's a seasonal moment.
Yeah.
How much more powerful could your transformation be if you just accepted in that moment, I'm doing this because I'm just about ready to explode into something amazing,
Mm. Yeah.
right?
And I think I just so we like if we think about it in the context of the trees, right? They the dormant phase, and then the buds come and then it explodes into growth and vibrancy and everything. And then before it goes back into dormancy, it has to release stuff, right? And again, I think if we think about seasons in our lives, seasons in our journey professionally, seasons in, our growth as human beings, like there's that, birth and then, our childhood and adulthood and late adulthood, however, like all of them have seasons, right? But the passing, I think in our human journey, the passing from one season into another, there's always something gets left behind or released or let go. And it's a requirement to do the releasing in
Mhm.
order to be able to have that next stage of growth. So I think wintertime is a great time for all of us to think about what am I being readied to release in my life
Mhm.
at the moment in order that I can grow into that next phase or next season in my
Mhm.
life. And that could be, I don't know, habits, behaviors, thought patterns. It could be people in our lives. I often say, it could be a job, right? I
Mhm.
mean, when you retired out of it, out of policing, I took, the opportunity to just pause one job and start a new job. But we had to leave go those old jobs for
Mhm.
for me to become the coach and for you to become the speaker and the author and the work you do around financial services now.
Mhm.
And those you can't, it's kind of like you can't have the one until you've let go of the other.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
really encourage all of you listening today, just think about like what am I ready to release? What's no longer serving me?
Mhm.
And sometimes that's kind of inner stuff around the thought patterns and the
Hmm.
behaviors and the habits. And sometimes it's more, outside of the friendship that you've outgrown, or maybe it's a partnership or a marriage you've outgrown. Um, it's a job, I don't know,
Yeah.
activity,
Yeah.
and
You
we
know,
stay because we're good people
it's
and we're loyal
comfortable.
people and it's comfortable. Um, and it's just, sometimes it's not always I was challenged hard on this once in a workshop, and I was talking with people about the release piece,
Hmm.
and I talked about relationships and releasing friendships or relationships, like, and the word I used was that they no longer serve you. So for how it landed with the participants on the day, like one of them said, that is so Machiavellian, like, that you would just ditch somebody because they no longer serve you. And I was like, well, I appreciate the language, right? We talk about the power of words, but we all have like friends from national school or primary school, or, where we lived when we had our first job, or if we were students maybe for a while and we had friends and we thought they'd be friends for life. And
Hmm.
some of them maybe are if you're lucky and you've cultivated that, but probably loads of them aren't.
Hmm.
And that wasn't because anybody was Machiavellian or mean, and there probably weren't any big bus stops. But, people move on and interests change, and you just fall out of each other's orbit.
Hmm.
And that's what I'm talking about, that sometimes we have to just consciously let that happen.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because sometimes we're pouring energy. It's like trying to keep a tree alive when all the tree is trying to do is to just release the leaves,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And I think if we can let it be that it is seasonal and it is natural, and it's okay that we outgrow each other and outgrow interests, and that it's just all part of how we grow and evolve, and the seasonal changes in our lives, and let it be okay.
Hmm.
Happy days.
Hmm. I look back and if I'll give a tangible example of releasing, you know, for me to really embrace this new role that I've been called to take in the speaking world and understanding that, my story has power and what I have to say can maybe change or influence someone to make a different decision for themselves, which is really exciting.
Mhm.
I had to release the identity of a
Yeah.
police officer,
Mhm.
right? Because you know, in that first responder world, I mean, in any world, any job, you identify that way. When someone asks, "Oh, hey, what do you do?" I'm this, right? And anything that follows "I am," you are, right? It's that whole powerful statement of "I am" statements, right? And I think that that's a key, especially in our world, is that why I say, "Oh, I'm a police officer." They can visualize what that looks like, right? What is
Yeah.
100%, right? So I really had to do some work around the fact that that wasn't my calling. I mean, yes, I had it for 25 years, but I was no longer called to do that. And I was looking to retire and move into something new. And so to do those things, of course,
Mm.
it takes that release moment, right? It takes the ability to let go of that feeling and that identity.
Yeah.
And I know that I was, and I had a lot of work and support around that. And so it wasn't
Mm.
like I was just abandoning my identity and I didn't know who I was. Like I had support around all that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's where you come in when it comes to support, right? If they're in that moment, talk to me and sit down with her because she can help you, figure out what that new version of you looks like. But ideally, right, that's one big part of it is that sometimes you let go of those things and it's like, but you got to leave that space for a new space for it to come. You can't
Yeah.
occupy it. Once your container is full, your container is full,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you got to have that space, right? That flow. And
Yeah.
you said to me before this too that people come in. You talk about friendships or people that come into your lives. I mean, they come into your lives for a reason, a season, or a lifetime,
Yeah.
right? And sometimes it is that seasonal person, or they're there for for that period of time. And I think it's really key to being able to have respect for those relationships that sort of that you talk about orbit, right? You're in a certain orbit, people are friends, right? And then you're no longer friends anymore, or not friends. You're friends, but you're not in that
You're just not seeing each
not
other so
not not the
much.
same
Yeah.
influence that you used to have on each other
Yeah.
because of the fact that we all move and change in seasons to come and go. And
Yeah.
and so And that's really typical in my world too. I work with lots and lots of people over my 25 years, but it was only a handful
Yeah.
that I'm coming out of policing, continuing to talk to or spend time with,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and that to me makes perfect sense.
Hmm.
And just inviting all of you listening today to think about it. Well, in my life, where am I just pouring energy into something like feeding a plant that it's not its time to be fed, right? It's its time to rest or be
Hmm.
dormant or whatever. So again, and to allow it be natural, allow it to be
Yeah.
natural. Um,
The thing, other
and
thing too, I want to say is, if I may, is that and it's not like be okay with those moments. Be okay with that change. Like
exactly.
just know that it's for the right reasons. It's for the purpose of growth and expansion of your own awareness and your
Yeah.
being, right? So yes, you may feel some feelings around it and feel those feelings, but
Mm.
know that in that moment, it's exactly what needed to happen. And you never, it doesn't mean that that person won't come back around to your orbit again,
Yeah.
right? Because they might, right? But I mean,
Yeah.
just know that was an enriching moment, and be grateful for all of the times you did have to in that person's company.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I think allied to that is kind of this idea that like you don't want to fight the season that you're in, right? I
correct.
mean, and again, for both of us, there have been times this year when we wanted to be in growth and we were in dormancy for, in whatever
Yes.
domains in our lives or whatever. And like to just, again, and I find this so hard, right? And if you're listening today and you're in a phase that isn't the one you would love or prefer to be in, just, it's tough, right? It is tough. And we want to be able to say to ourselves, like, it has its season. And it's like, just again, it comes back to that trust piece, maybe, or that faith piece, but that, when I'm in winter time, it has its purpose. And
Hmm.
and if I can trust the purpose, then I can grow into that next
Hmm.
phase, that maybe the more preferred phase, way more quickly and easily. Um, and even just because we're in winter at the moment as well, and I know it doesn't get so cold here, but for us too, darker days, night
Hmm.
starts earlier and a
Hmm.
lot colder than it would be other times of the year
Hmm.
for sure. Um, to be able to kind of acknowledge that in that season, when that natural season is happening, we respond to that. Our bodies respond to that. We have circadian rhythms, and when there's less sunlight, like we kind of we go into not full hibernation, but again, that call to slow down, take it
Hmm.
easy, rest more, that's real. And I think in the modern world, like with electricity and energy, and we've got constant entertainment, like we can really fight against that, what I would again call a very natural urge to just actually calm down, slow down, rest more.
Hmm.
And the festive season, of course, which is upon us, like that,
Yes.
that again calls us to, we can get very busy, and, social lives get really busy, and shopping and cooking and all that goes with the holiday season can be fairly frenetic when actually our bodies are really trying to slow down.
Hmm.
So again, just, the radical well-being version of me wants to say to you listening today, listen to your body, pay attention. If you
Yep.
don't have to do everything or go everywhere, or how can I contain it or make it a little bit more easeful and less stressful, and make those choices, and
Hmm.
and honor your own rhythm.
Hmm. I think, and it's a great comic because like this, when this gets released, Christmas will be right around the corner,
Hmm.
right? And so chances are things are pretty ramped up at this moment, as because it's only I think this one will be a week away from when the 24th is, and so the whole that whole lead up to Christmas and the celebrations and the reflection and the opportunity to sort of like be with your friends and family and all the stuff that comes with it can create can create some tiredness and can create, some incongruentness with what's happening if you're feeling a little bit more like you want to spend more time internalizing and whatever else. And and that's okay. Just know that when you're in those moments too, right? Just the Christmas season one is fantastic. I love the Christmas season. I think it's a great time of year. Um, I love the fact that you get to celebrate certain things with your family and all the stuff that it signifies and that it represents. And it's really kind of a nice time to be together and have those connections with the ones you love the most, right? In those
Yeah.
moments. But it's also you say understand that if you're feeling the need to have a nap or you're feeling needed to not go to that all, or maybe you show up a little bit later, or maybe you leave a little bit earlier, all
Yeah.
those things are okay, right? You
Yeah.
don't you don't need to take them into the fullest if you are feeling like you're in this season of, well, I gotta just, right, slow
Yeah.
down a little bit. So it just depends on where you're at. You said something pretty neat, is that we talked about it, the seasons come at different times of the year, like personally, right? Like, our dormant season, at least for me anyway, was this summer,
Yeah.
right? When I
Yeah.
thought things were going to be differently, it didn't show up that way. And it was really, I really had to notice and really had to really pay attention to the fact that it was just for a period of time.
Yeah.
It didn't, when I was in it, it felt like it was going to last forever. It feel like you're in this place and you're like, and there's a lot of like anxiety and some fear and a whole bunch of stuff that was happening there. But, with this work, with utilizing most of the tools, I had to go to my toolbox for a lot of things, right? In that moment, um, I came to the realization that this is the path I was on. Came to the realization this path was designed for me on purpose by God, and I just let it go. I let it go to God. Okay, I'm on this path. What's my next step? And I let those steps guide me. And now I'm out of that moment, and I'm like, oh, it doesn't feel so heavy anymore,
Yeah.
right? Because I was able to sort of like just lean into that piece of it, and then now we're not 100% out of it, but we're 95% out of it, right? So,
Yeah.
or 90% out of it, whatever you want to call it, but we're on the right trajectory, right, to where we're going, and we were always on it. That's the crazy thing.
That's the thing.
We were
Exactly.
always on it,
Exactly.
right? It just
Yeah.
didn't feel like it in that moment a few months
Yeah.
ago, right?
Yeah. And it's funny, like, we can say, looking at the natural world, that yes, absolutely, night follows day and
Hmm.
day follows night, and it will come. But like you've been saying, it comes in its own time, right? So we talk, we can
Yeah.
have, we in Ireland, summer kind of extends, and we can have an Indian summer. I don't know where we got that phrase from, but that's what we call it. It's like an Indian summer when it carries on into kind of the autumn timing, or spring comes early or winter comes late or whatever. So again, it's kind of like when we're having our own seasons of growth and dormancy and
Hmm.
everything in between, to be able to know that there's sacred timing to all of it,
Hmm.
right? I mean, spring is definitely going to come, no less than winter is definitely going to come.
Hmm.
But it's going to come in its own timing. And I
Hmm.
think that even more so in terms of the human journey, right?
Hmm.
And even within that, like the age and aging comes in kind of its own way as well, but also like the growth of a project or the
Hmm.
growth of, if you're wanting to build a new home and all of that, it's going to come in its own sacred timing. And to trust that that is, I suppose, divine timing,
Hmm.
or, that it is inspirationally driven in
Hmm.
some way, and that everything gets done in its own right time, and that we
Hmm.
can't really rush that. I mean,
Hmm.
again, we talk about energy and transformation. There are things we can do to influence that.
Hmm.
Um, but there's no less than, you could say you were in your dormancy phase over the summer, but you influenced how long that lasted, Gary, by drawing on every tool that you had in your toolkit,
Correct.
I would say.
Right.
So we can't escape it, we can't force it, but we definitely can influence it.
Hmm.
Um,
Absolutely. And I
um,
think it's the
yeah,
key is that influence comes from from just taking the steps,
yeah,
just listening. Sometimes it is that quiet. I mean, that quiet moment of meditation or that thought or that guidance that comes, it's intuitive. Just take, if you just take keep taking the steps, Um, Even though you're in that season, those are the most important steps, I think.
Yeah.
When you're in that, as you're transforming, as you're growing, as you hit that moment of temporary defeat or struggle, or you coin it however you want to say it, right? It's that moment of sometimes it's an oh my God moment. Geez, I don't know what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
Right. But ideally, if you continue just to take the step and just continue just to take the step you can take, and maybe that just is meditation. Maybe that's just getting quiet. Maybe that is
Yeah,
just right.
exactly.
Like
It
it
can
could
be
be just,
internal work.
could be
Yeah.
internal work, right? Could be very simple. It could be outwardly making a phone call. It could be having a coffee with a friend. It can be having coffee with an acquaintance or a business partner or right, or having a discussion. It could be little things like that that just move it forward. And because what you're doing there is you're signifying that you're not leaning into the defeat side of things or the struggle. You're just taking the next step, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
And it's a good signal. So that's the influence, right? That's the influence on the timing, right? If you
Yeah.
because I think you can sit there for a long time if you want to, and you might
You
hold
can
up
stay there
and stay there,
indefinitely.
right, for a long time, or you could just quit
Hmm.
and walk away, and it never comes to fruition,
Yeah.
right? But what I do know is if you'd quit,
Well, then it
then
can't,
it can't
right?
happen, right? And
Yeah.
so, like, if you really want that, if you really want to drive towards that, you just take those steps. And I love that it comes in season. I love that it comes in the fact that you have to just embrace the fact that it's going to come in that way, and
Yeah.
just be aware of it, and just know that. As we come to the end here, what is it that if you could give them a couple tips of what to take away from this whole conversation around the seasonal side of things, what would it be?
Well, I'm going to kind of throw in something new before I get to that because as we were talking, I was thinking, there's also the seasons in our human life, right? In terms of like birth and growth and death. And I was just conscious that, we're talking a lot about Christmas and, the busyness of the festive season and what that is for some people. And not everybody is, well, A, not everybody celebrates Christmas, and B, not everybody maybe feels like celebrating it, even if it's part of their tradition. And again, just we're maybe we're still alive, but we've lost a loved one as well. I'm just that there's a season in that too, and to honor the season. Again, just honor the season that you're in. And for some of us, we're another year older. Maybe you've had a milestone birthday this year, and it mightn't feel like it's a celebration for all of us. But again, to just honor the season, right? And honor who you're becoming, even if you're older, right? And you can bring perspective to that. There's a lot of people in my circles are hitting 60 this year, which may or may not feel old for those of you listening. But part of me though, 60 is the new 40, right? So, again, you can get to bring perspective on it, but also our bodies change, right? We have different capabilities and different limitations based on age. And again, I would just say honor the season and honor the timing and release what needs to let go and know that in every phase and stage, including grieving, there are times of that feel like dormant and there's nothing happening and it's maybe just full of pain, but the growth will come again and ease will come again because that's how it works. And being able to trust that even in the hardest moments. I think trust and yeah, just being with it, whether it's in the exciting growth phase or whether it's in the tough and challenging dormant phase and all that's in between, to not fight it. I think that's my biggest learning this year is to
Mm-hmm.
just not fight
Mm-hmm.
wherever you are. Um, and that does allow us to influence it really because what we resist persists, right? And just trusting that light comes after dark and spring comes after winter and it will shift, it will move because it has to.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it works. That's nature at work, and it's always working, and we are nature. It'll work in us and for us too.
Yeah. Yeah. If, when it comes to the seasonal side of things, I think just being aware of where you're at,
Mm.
right? Having that awareness of where you're currently sitting. Um, if you're in a moment of despair, struggle, challenge, in a season of grief or whatever that looks like for you, Um, if you can just go with the flow and just let it kind of, and just kind of release that push energy and just go with the flow and you just kind of release it to this path I'm on is divinely placed and I'm on this path for a reason. And I may not know it in the moment and I know, but I do know that then the reasons will be given to me at some point in time when I'm ready to hear them or see them or be aware of them, they'll show up. And if you can do just those two little things, if you can be aware of where you're at and just release it. If you're in a good time, same thing. Just release, go into that good time. Just don't try to push. You're going to take the steps and it's going to feel good. But sometimes we over push for those too. We like,
Mm.
overextend or and because we want it to continue to be the way that is. And so just know that just embrace those moments, embrace those times and and then have gratitude and go back. I know I've did a gratitude twice now in 2 episodes. I've gone back to the gratitude piece, but I just feel like if you can just tap into that a little bit, even in the seasonal work, it'll give you some reprieve on the feeling. And
Yeah, every season has things in
right,
it to be
it has
grateful
something
for.
absolutely right. And so
Yeah.
and just I'm, I haven't loved I don't love the winter season. It's not something I love. I don't like the cold, but I'm learning through my son who I realize that he has a very good perspective on the winter, and um, I'm trying to learn through him because he showed me that there's things to. So I'm trying to embrace this whole thing about winter, and it's only taken me however many years I've been in,
In
20
this
in
lifetime.
this lifetime to be there. I think as a kid, I probably love winter because I think every kid loves winter and snow and making snowmen and doing stuff. But I think as an adult, in my adult life, so I just feel like, that's part of it. So as I'm growing and learning too, I think that's kind of cool. We're coming to the end here. Anything that's upcoming for you? So you've got some resources that are pretty fantastic, correct?
Yes. Well, if you're listening today on our release day for this episode, there is a masterclass tonight on releasing the year we've just had. So please join me. It's 7 p.m. Irish time. So be delighted to see you on call for that there. So you do need to sign up for it. So you'll find it on my website or you might have had emails about it. So just log in and you'll get the Zoom link and then you can join us. It's completely free. There's another one on the 6th of January at 6 p.m. Irish time, again, completely free. That's more for launching the new year. And there's beautiful yearbook and resource to go with all of that. So again, you sign up for them and you get free downloads of all of
Yeah.
them. So I would be delighted for all and any of you to join us and share the yearbook, share the links to the master classes. They're open to everybody and
Yeah.
be delighted.
And
Yeah,
it's
to see.
complimentary, right? It's complimentary download.
Oh,
This is
totally. Yeah,
this is like this
absolutely.
is something that, guys, take advantage of that. Take advantage of just exploring
Yeah.
what it looks like. I think it's
And they're
fantastic.
good. Like I'm
Yeah,
really proud of them.
I
They're
think it's
solid,
fantastic.
solid
Yeah.
resources.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, take advantage of that. You guys, you have the opportunity here for myself, February 21st, Life Inspire and Ignite Inspire is having an event on that day. It's going to be a night of story and music, and it's going to be fantastic. And Yeah, I'd like to say thank you very much, guys. Appreciate y'all, and
And, and
we'll
season's
we'll
greetings.
see you in 2 weeks and enjoy the Christmas. Yes, please enjoy Christmas and have some cheer and love with your family. All right, take care. We'll see you in 2 weeks.